Chapter 26. Untold Struggles. Kichi, whose name meant good fortune, carried a heavy burden throughout the centuries. Despite her name and the fortunate circumstances she struggled with the inability to bid her father, Daimyo Hideyoshi, a proper farewell, or express her gratitude to him. History only remembered her father as an old man who passed away while sitting at the entrance of a cave, his lands slowly deteriorating. The reason behind his actions remained a mystery to the world, but Kichi held the answer. In truth, Kichi knew that her father had saved her life by seeking the aid of the Fox Witch. However, what her father didn't realize was that the pact he made with the Fox Witch came at a steep cost. Subsequently, Kichi was forever forbidden from seeing or communicating with him again. The separation was a painful one, as Kichi cherished her father and longed to express her love and appreciation for his sacrifice. Though Kichi carried the knowledge of her father's selflessness, she was unable to alter the recorded history or reveal the truth to the world. Instead, she endured the weight of her secret and the eternal void left by her father's absence. The struggle of not being able to say goodbye or convey her feelings tormented her over the great many centuries. Nevertheless, Kichi carried on, determined to make the most of her life and honor her father's sacrifice in her own way. After enduring the heart-wrenching loss of her father and experiencing a perilous encounter with the Shinigami, Kichi's life took a new turn, fueled by a deep desire to protect and preserve the esoteric knowledge that was at risk of being lost or misused. She founded a secret organization known as Shinobi no Kaga, meaning Shadow of the Ninja, was established with the purpose of safeguarding ancient wisdom, mystical arts, and secret teachings. It served as a clandestine repository of knowledge, dedicated to maintaining its secrecy from those who might seek to exploit it. The organization comprised a select group of skilled individuals who possessed exceptional abilities, both in combat and in the realms of hidden knowledge. Under Kichi's leadership, Shinobi no Kaga operated from the shadows, ensuring that important artifacts, scrolls, and texts were protected and kept away from those who could use them for nefarious purposes. They sought to maintain balance in the world, using their skills and knowledge discreetly to intervene when necessary. Her drive to protect the secrets of the past became the driving force behind Shinobi no Kaga. The organization operated with utmost secrecy, employing covert methods and maintaining a network of trustworthy individuals who shared their mission. While Kichi couldn't rewrite history or alter the records of her father's life, she found solace and purpose in the establishment of Shinobi no Kaga. Through this organization, she honored her father's memory by dedicating herself to the preservation of knowledge and the protection of the hidden arts, ensuring that they would endure for generations to come. As the modern age of technology dawned upon the world, maintaining secrecy for Shinobi no Kaga and concealing Kichi's identity became increasingly challenging. The advancements in surveillance and information sharing made it more difficult for clandestine organizations to operate covertly. Despite their best efforts, Kichi received a secret encoded message revealing that their facilities in Japan had been raided not only by Japanese law enforcement, but also by American authorities. The realization that their operations had been compromised meant that Kichi's time as Akiko's, the alias she used to conceal her true identity, was drawing to a close. The pressure of being exposed to the world weighed heavily on her, but in that moment, another revelation consumed her thoughts. After nearly 5 centuries of tireless searching, she had discovered evidence that Shinigami, the entity responsible for her father's death and her subsequent separation, still walked the earth. This revelation shook Kichi to her core. Throughout her long and eventful life, Her deepest desire had been to remove Shinigami from history and existence, to ensure that no other lives would be lost or families torn apart by its malevolence. This newfound evidence ignited a burning determination within her, overshadowing the imminent threat to her organization and her own identity. With her focus solely fixated on her ultimate goal, Kichi resolved to confront Shinigami once and for all. She knew that this quest would be the culmination of her life's journey, the pinnacle of her existence. Everything else paled in comparison to the opportunity to rid the world of the entity that had caused her immeasurable pain and suffering. With the weight of centuries on her shoulders and a resolute fire in her heart, Kichi set out, driven by a determination that surpassed the obstacles in her path. The modern age of technology may have made secrecy more difficult, but nothing could deter her from her singular purpose: to remove Shinigami from existence, bringing closure to her own tragic tale and potentially protecting countless others from its malevolent grasp. Despite the peculiarities surrounding the crime scenes, Kichi's intuition and accumulated knowledge led her to firmly believe that Shinigami was indeed responsible for the events. The presence of cherry trees and the relatively low number of victims perplexed her, but she couldn't shake the feeling that these details were intentionally crafted by Shinigami to confound and misdirect. She knew all too well that Shinigami possessed otherworldly powers and a penchant for manipulating reality to suit his desires. It was possible that the cherry trees held symbolic significance or served as a deliberate clue left behind by Shinigami. Their presence might have been a subtle way for Shinigami to taunt Kichi or create a sense of unease, knowing that she would be drawn to investigate the connection. As for the seemingly low number of victims, Kichi understood that Shinigami was a cunning and methodical entity. He was known to carefully choose his targets and strike with precision, maximizing impact while minimizing the chances of being discovered. Shinigami's ability to manipulate circumstances and selectively choose victims might explain the limited casualties at the crime scenes. Though the specifics puzzled her, Kichi remained resolute in her conviction. She had encountered the evil presence of Shinigami in the past and witnessed the devastation it caused firsthand. The patterns and underlying darkness she sensed at the crime scenes resonated with her past encounters, leading her to conclude that Shinigami's influence loomed over the events. Driven by her deep-rooted desire to rid the world of Shinigami's existence, Kichi would continue her investigation probe deeper into the mysteries surrounding the cherry trees and the connection to the limited number of victims. She knew that uncovering the truth behind these enigmatic elements would bring her closer to her goal of confronting and defeating Shinigami once and for all. Utilizing her vast network created over centuries, Kichi sent messages out to all aspects of the Shinobi no Kage, looking for any information or events that may be related to Shinigami within the last year. With it having been more than 100 years since she had requested such information, many know nothing of him. After a few days with not even a hint of information, her phone range, even though it was heavily encrypted, she still wanted verification that the correct person was at the other end. Ring, ring, ring. "What year did it snow?" Kichi asked when answering the phone. Knowing to most it would sound like a ridiculous question, but Kichi had devised a mathematical answer to any word she asked about. Only trusted members knew the process of finding the correct answer. 7,742, the voice on the other end of the call stated. "What do you have for me?" Kichi asked, trying to not show her excitement. "It's good to hear your voice again. Haven't heard from you in many years. Hell, I am surprised I even remember the formula for the code." The man at the other end of the line laughed. "It is good to hear from you as well, Chris. Sorry we haven't been able to chat in a while. Time gets away from me." As it does for us all, but no apologizing, life is good. I understand. Not sure how much this helps, but an older gentleman that operates a shop in Tokyo sold an old rusty sword through an online auction. It was so purely rusted even the Japanese Minister of Culture denied issue it and registration card. It was in that poor of shape with rust holes from one side to the other. Chris paused to look at his notes. A sword in that condition couldn't possibly have done any of the murders I have been looking into, Kichi suggested. Wait, this is where it gets interesting. A few weeks after the buyer received it, he called asking a question about where it was found. The store owner thought he was calling to complain about the condition it was in. Instead, he sent the store owner a picture of the blade, said he was a blad-smith and that all it had needed was repolished. Sorry, forgive me for being so disorganized. I have notes everywhere. You know I hate typing and write everything down. Price of being old. Chris paused once more. Was there any proof to this? Kichi requested. Oh, here it is. Yes, the guy sent him a picture of the sword. Told the man that wasn't the sword he purchased. But here is the kicker, and you will find interest in this. The shopkeeper's daughter admitted to finding it in the forest of death, or suicide forest. You always believed that place was where Shinigami had died, causing his black powers to continue their reign of death. Also, before this, almost 100 people a year commit suicide there. Since this sword was removed, there have been none, Chris stated emphatically, believing it he had discovered very useful information. After thanking her longtime friend for the information, Kichi hangs up and thought about everything he had said and found it very intriguing. All these centuries hunting Shinigami, and it appears he had died near the spot they had last battled. Kichi recognized the significance of the little girl's discovery in the suicide forest near Mount Fuji. The fact that this location held a connection to her previous encounter with Shinigami piqued her curiosity even further. She understood that the sword found by the little girl might hold clues or possess unique properties that warranted further investigation. Equipped with the details of the blad-smith who had purchased the sword online, Kichi embarked on her investigation. She researched the blad-smith's background, looking for any connections to the world of esoteric knowledge or previous encounters with supernatural entities, and found none. She sought to understand why the blad-smith's description of the sword didn't match the rusty and hole-ridden one he had obtained. From all the knowledge she had acquired through her long life and study, the only conclusion she could ascertain is that Shinigami survived, as his spirit was one with the sword, such as it was with samurai lure. The only way he would be capable of walking the earth again is if someone willingly allow him in. Kichi decided to follow the blad-smith after observing him leaving his workshop with a katana late at night. Believing that the blad-smith's actions might provide valuable insight into the mysterious sword's nature, she discreetly trailed him through the darkened streets. Maintaining a safe distance, Kichi carefully observed the blad-smith's movements, noting any suspicious or unusual behavior. As they traversed the city's streets, she noticed a sense of urgency in the blad-smith's driving, fueling her curiosity and solidifying her belief that there was more to the sword than met the eye. The blad-smith's path eventually led him to an state corrections halfway house, a place just on the outskirts of the city. Witnessing the blad-smith's arrival at a halfway house for criminals out on parole, Kichi's senses heightened, and her anticipation turned into alarm. As she listened attentively from a concealed position outside, a thunderous cry reverberated through the air, echoing the words, "I am Shinigami." The chilling proclamation caused a sharp pain in her chest, confirming her suspicions that Shinigami was directly involved in the events surrounding the mysterious sword. The convergence of the blad-smith and Shinigami within the halfway house brought forth a pressing sense of urgency and the realization that she had stumbled upon a pivotal moment in her quest. Now faced with the reality of Shinigami's presence, Kichi understood that she had to act swiftly and cautiously. She weighed her options, considering the potential risks and the delicate nature of the situation. Engaging with an entity as powerful as Shinigami required careful strategy and an understanding of its capabilities. As Kichi bravely entered the halfway house, her grip tightening around her trusty katana, the very same one she had done battle with the last time they had met. "Stop!" She tried yelling, but quickly realized it was too late. As she stood, she spotted Shinigami, his sword slicing into the neck of the last man in a long line, on their knees. The image was just as his evil actions had been centuries ago. Without hesitation, she charged forward, determined to confront this demonic entity. The clash of their katanas sent sparks flying, illuminating the tension and intensity of their battle. "You need to learn how to die, Shinigami," Kichi said, as her skill and agility was matched by Shinigami's otherworldly strength and cunning. With every clash, she felt the weight of centuries of pain and longing fueling her strikes, driving her forward in her quest. "Where is the blad-smith, Shinigami? What have you done with him?" Kichi asked, knowing she saw him enter with the very red katana Shinigami was wielding. After a long, evil laugh, Shinigami replied, "The peasant is no more. He gave himself over to me. You kill me, you kill him." Again, letting out an even louder laugh. The room filled with the sound of their blades colliding, each strike carrying the weight of their respective histories. Kichi's resolve remained unyielding as she fought with unwavering determination, seeking to overcome the darkness embodied by Shinigami. She deflected his strikes with precision, countering with her own calculated movements, striving to find an opening that would allow her to strike a decisive blow. Their battle was an intricate dance, a clash of wills and powers. The atmosphere crackled with energy as their swords met time and time again. Kichi's focus remained sharp, her mind honed on her objective, to remove Shinigami from existence and bring an end to his evil reign of death. With every exchange, Kichi drew upon her centuries of training and experience, adapting to Shinigami's tactics and anticipating his moves. She knew that this confrontation would test her to the very core, but she was determined to emerge victorious. "Where is your pet rat? It must have survived our last encounter, or you wouldn't be here now." Shinigami growled in an attempt to agitate his opponent. Ignoring his attempts, she remained focused and stayed on task as their battle raged, with the outcome hanging in the balance. Kichi's determination, skill, and unyielding spirit clashed with Shinigami's ancient power and wicked intentions. In this moment, she fought not only for herself and her father, but for all those who had suffered at the hands of this demonic entity. The room became a battleground of conflicting forces, and Kichi's every strike resonated with a resolve that defied the weight of time itself. With every clash of their blades, she inched closer to fulfilling her ultimate goal and freeing herself and countless others from the grasp of Shinigami's darkness. While their intense battle raged, her trusted fox witch companion, vigilant and adept in the art of magic, utilized its supernatural abilities to aid her in the fight. The fox witch, a master of illusion and manipulation, skillfully maneuvered in the shadows, casting spells and deploying its arcane powers to counter Shinigami's own abilities. It weaved a web of enchantments and distractions, diverting the attention of Shinigami and disrupting its attacks, careful not to be surprised by an attack, such as it was in their last encounter. With each stroke of Kichi's katana, the fox witch's magic wove around her, shielding her from Shinigami's malefic influence and augmenting her own skills. It harmonized its powers with Kichi's prowess, blending their strengths together to create a formidable force against the entity. Through the fox witch's assistance, Kichi gained a strategic advantage. Illusions and phantasmal elements confused Shinigami, momentarily throwing him off balance. The magic of the Fox Witch served as a counterpoint to Shinigami's darkness, providing Kichi with the opportunity to exploit its vulnerabilities and strike decisive blows. Collaboration between Kichi and the Fox Witch exemplified the synergy between human skill and supernatural forces. Their combined efforts created a dynamic interplay of swordplay and magic, each complementing and bolstering the other. As the battle unfolded, the presence of the Fox Witch infused Kichi with a renewed sense of strength and resilience. It acted as her unseen ally, ever watchful and ready to intervene when needed. The intricate dance between Kichi's katana and the Fox Witch's enchantments brought them closer to their shared objective of overcoming Shinigami's influence. With the Fox Witch's magical prowess supporting her every move, Kichi fought with renewed determination, fueled by the knowledge that she was not alone in her quest. Together, they formed a formidable team, their unity serving as a testament to their unwavering dedication in the face of darkness. In the midst of their synchronized battle, Kichi and the Fox Witch pressed forward, their combined efforts serving as a beacon of hope in the struggle against Shinigami. They fought with a fierce resolve, their synchronized actions aimed at vanquishing the demonic samurai for good and ensuring that the legacy of suffering it had left behind would be no more. Intensity grew by the second between Kichi, the Fox Witch, and Shinigami as it unfolded. Little did they know that an outsider had alerted the authorities. The strangeness of the 911 call had caught the attention of Detective Riley, who was promptly dispatched to the scene. Accompanied by Officer James, they rushed to the halfway house, unaware of the supernatural forces at play. Upon entering the chaotic scene, Detective Riley and Officer James both began shouting commands. "Everyone down! Get down now! I said, get—" Little did they know they were now thrusted into a realm far beyond their understanding. The clash between Kichi and Shinigami momentarily halted as Shinigami turned its attention toward the newcomers. In a swift and violent motion, Shinigami extended a dark, ominous tentacle, hurling Detective Riley against the wall with an unfathomable force. The detective's body collided with the solid surface, leaving him dazed and momentarily incapacitated. Officer James, witnessing the devastating attack on his fellow officer, reacted with a mixture of shock and horror. Before he could even process what was happening, Shinigami swiftly closed the distance, impaling Officer James with its katana. The blade pierced through his body, leaving him grievously wounded and gasping for breath as blood gushed from the wound. Kichi, fueled by urgency, witnessed the brutal assault on the officers. The revelation that innocent lives were now caught in the crossfire added another layer of weight to her mission. As Detective Riley struggled to regain his senses and Officer James fought for his life, Kichi braced herself to resume battle with Shinigami. The gravity of the situation intensified, as the fight not only carried the weight of her personal vendetta, but also the responsibility to save the lives of those affected by Shinigami's ruthless actions. Kichi swiftly positioned herself between Officer James, lying wounded on the floor, and Detective Riley, still recovering from the forceful impact against the wall. With unwavering determination, she shielded them from any further attacks by Shinigami, her katana held poised and ready. In a critical moment, 2 additional police officers burst through the doorway, their guns drawn. Reacting swiftly to the dangerous situation, they unleashed a barrage of gunfire upon Shinigami. The bullets found their mark, creating dark voids of smoke wherever they struck. The onslaught of bullets forced Shinigami to retreat, the intensity of the gunfire momentarily disrupting its advances. However, even as Shinigami recoiled, an eerie transformation began to take place. Cherry trees, symbols of life and beauty, emerged from the bodies of those he had slain. The juxtaposition of life springing forth from death sent chills down the spines of those present, a haunting example of supernatural power at play. While the officer's intervention provided a temporary respite, the situation remained perilous, as the newly arrived officers now turned their attention to her, screaming for her to get down on the floor. Kichi recognized that the battle was far from over. She understood the ephemeral nature of Shinigami's retreat and the necessity to press on, to continue the pursuit of justice and the eradication of this entity. With a steady resolve, Kichi stood firm, her eyes scanning the transformed surroundings. The presence of the cherry trees and the lingering threat of Shinigami served as a stark reminder that the fight would not end until the roots of darkness were completely severed.